cold up here.
You want to come down and get a, oh, you got one. I'll share the PowerPoint.
What?
I'm telling you, I was just going to say, I'll share the PowerPoint
Okay.
and then I'll move slides for you.
Okay. Hopefully I won't have to change many slides. I forgot to delete some of them, but
You're fine.
yeah. How'd your crock pot meal turn out? Pretty good. What'd you make?
It's a pesto ranch chicken
Hmm,
and it's very easy.
sounds good.
Yes. It's the new favorite in the Perry household.
You make your own pesto?
Now you dump frozen chicken in, a jar of pesto, a couple packets of ranch, dry, and a couple things of chicken broth. It sits all day, and then you just pull the chicken all apart because it's all easy,
Mhm.
and throw in a box of cooked pasta.
Sounds pretty good.
Works for soccer night.
Been trying to be more adventurous with cooking this winter on weekends. Just trying to do new things because what else is there to do? So
Nothing. I'm not a very good cook.
I'm not either, but might as well try.
Yeah. I have like 5 of these throw stuff in a pot and then kind of do 3, like cut a little bit up and then you're ready.
I would be impressed with myself if I did that. So sounds good.
Do you own a crock pot?
I do.
I'll give you recipes.
I've used it a handful of times. Could do it more. I see you, Charlie.
It's connecting to audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear you now.
No?
We
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Yes. How's everybody doing?
Good.
We were discussing cooking.
Cooking. I just finished cooking.
What'd you make?
I did a flank steak with compound butter and some spinach with nutmeg and some mushrooms.
Wow.
That's fancy.
Yeah.
What is compound butter?
Compound butter is like you put maybe garlic in and maybe a cheese.
Huh.
So I make my own butter.
Oh, like
Wow.
how?
Then-
Like in a jar?
Yeah.
Like you shake it?
Yeah, and then I put stuff in it.
Wow.
Cool.
That sounds good.
But do you literally just shake it? Or do you have like a machine?
No, I have a thing I use by hand.
Oh,
Like a butter churn, but it's just a hand. It just makes one stick of butter.
that is, you can buy that?
Yeah, you can buy it.
Oh,
I
I'm writing that down.
make like a honey cinnamon butter for breakfast.
Butter
Yeah.
maker.
Charlie's a
I got
gourmet
nothing
cook.
else to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we were saying.
That's awesome. I've never heard. I thought that like that's like something you do on like field trips to like the olden days places.
And
I'm
the
kind of
Charlie's house.
crazy.
I'm glad Charlie wasn't in on my earlier conversation about what I made for dinner tonight.
In the crock pot.
It was.
Instapot, yeah.
No, I don't have an Instapot, but I do have a crock pot.
I love a crock pot. I cook it a lot. I love it.
And this week is high school soccer tryouts. So
Oh,
I wanted her to have a good meal.
yes.
She-
Yes.
Tryouts start at 8.
Wow.
It's 8 tonight?
Mhm.
Oh my God. That's so late.
The fields were too wet, so today
Okay.
they moved them from, it was supposed to be 4:15 to 6, and now it's 8 to 9:30.
Oh my, that feels so late for these kids. No?
No.
Wow. That is so funny. 9:30. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hopefully I'm
They have a
asleep by
good
then.
soccer team, don't they?
Yeah, I wish we'd been able to see them last year.
Yeah. Maybe this year.
I think they've got enough really good girls that I think there's a chance that either one of the next 3 years, I think girls varsity is going to win state again.
Wow.
Yeah,
That'd be
there's that
cool.
many really good girls.
All right. Who's not here?
So no Jeff, but we kind of knew that.
No Jeff.
No Jeff.
Missing Maddie.
Yep, Maddie. We got 2 more minutes.
But Jeff is not going to be here.
Jeff was was traveling and didn't think he was going to be able to log in.
Okay. And Maddie's going to be here, you think?
6,
And-
7. Who else are we missing?
Tony?
One more.
Tony?
Is
Tony coming?
I thought Tony was coming.
Okay.
So maybe Tony and Maddie.
Oh, Tony's here.
There's Tony.
All right. We'll wait another minute here. Is Neil here?
I don't see Neil yet. But I did talk to him this morning, so he said, I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, he'll probably be here. I started talking and Kathy said, what do you say? What are you talking about? And I said, I'm in a meeting. Leave me alone.
Is she still
Okay,
on?
we're ready to go?
You've got a quorum, so you can go.
All right, here we go. Good evening. My name is Charles Sindel. I am chairperson of the Webster Groves Plan Commission. We are a 9-member board of citizens appointed by the city council to review development proposals and make recommendations to the city council regarding future development of the city. In addition to the members of the Plan Commission participating via teleconference, we have a few other representatives of the city I would like to introduce. Council member Pam Bliss, City Attorney Neil Brunschweiger, Planning and Development Director Mara Perry, Planner Danny Jandusa, and Denise Bolesky, our recording secretary. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's monthly meeting of the commission and take this opportunity to explain how we operate. As indicated in our agenda, we will begin with the regular session of the meeting when we will hear new applications for rezoning or subdivisions. We will hear a staff report and the applicant will explain the proposal. We will then ask for comments from the public. At that time, anyone with an interest in the proposal may indicate to city staff they have a question or would like to express their opinion by clicking the raise hand button on Zoom. To make sure that we accurately record your name, we ask that you identify your full name and address at the beginning of your comment. When you make your comments, we ask that you be as concise as possible and not repeat a point made by a previous speaker. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. A person speaking for an organization shall have 6 minutes to comment. After all citizens have spoken, the applicant may be asked to respond to any questions that have been raised during the hearing. When we have finished reviewing one proposal, we will move on to the next application. Comments concerning items not on the agenda should be made during the public comment section of the agenda near the beginning of the meeting. When we have completed the regular portion of the agenda, we will go into executive session. At that time, the commission will discuss the proposal and may decide to vote on the application or to postpone the decision. You are welcome to remain and listen to the discussion, but there'll be no further opportunity for public comment at that time. Our recommendations are sent to the city council. In most cases, the city council will conduct a similar hearing and must enact an ordinance before the proposal is finally approved. If the plan commission takes a vote tonight, the city council will likely take up this issue at its first meeting next month. If you want information regarding our vote or the progress of the application, you may contact staff at City Hall. And so I'm going to serve as secretary again tonight, and I'm going to read the first item on the agenda, which is approval of minutes. So anybody who has any comments about the minutes of the February 1st meeting? Is there a motion to approve?
Approved. Motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 1st, 2021 meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Public comment. Are there any comments from members of the public on items that are not on the agenda? That's when you hit your Zoom button.
So Charlie, for a second, I'm going to stop the share. I can't get to my other screen. Maddie's trying to get on and I need to email her. So let me send her a quick email with another link to try.
All right.
And then I will put the share back on. Sorry. And there were no hands up for public comment.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen back again. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Are we ready to roll?
I think we are.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is public hearings. The first item is 21 PC 01, Lono's Little Eats LLC, an application by Lono's Little Eats LLC for a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant drive-through use located on a 0.41 acre lot at 7985 Big Bend Boulevard in the C Commercial District. The applicant has requested that the application be postponed to the April 5th, 2021 meeting. Is there anybody who objects to postponing this hearing? All those in favor of postponing the hearing to April 5th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Next item on the public hearing agenda, 20 PC 06 zoning code text amendments to family residential. Proposed amendments include clarifications to the use and dimensional regulations regarding single-family attached dwellings and two-family dwellings in the A4 7,500 square foot residence district in sections 53.070 and 53.100, and amended definitions related to those uses in section 53.020. And Danny, are you presenting?
Yes.
All right.
I'm just going to go through a couple things really briefly as a reminder or announcement to anybody who's new listening in on the meeting. We've been talking about several topics related to two-family dwellings and single-family attached dwellings in the A4 district on conforming lots and legal non-conforming lots. I think on the next slide, kind of have a rundown of topics we've looked at over the last several months, looking at definitions, minimum lot sizes, width of lots, floor area ratio, setbacks that we would apply, parking requirements that we'd apply. We also discussed accessory dwelling units and how that comes into play here with already allowing essentially accessory dwelling units for immediate family members of the household, how these topics would impact historic districts and infrastructure capacity. From last month's hearing to what you were given in your packets this past week, there's only a couple of very minor changes. First one was in the definition for single-family attached dwelling, simply modified the definition used to say that it shall mean two or more single-family dwellings, each on its own individual lot. I modified it to reduce to eliminate the or more, so that it would just be two single-family attached dwelling units. We had kind of briefly discussed whether we would allow up to 4 attached single-family units in this definition. thinking that it may be present, an interesting diversity of housing options in Webster Groves. But when we were really looking at it more, it's not something that is really that compatible with our lot widths in Webster Groves, and might sort of detract from what we're really, what really the intent of this would be. If we were allowing for conjoined units, in that case, it would be where somebody was likely demolishing 4 existing smaller units in Webster Groves on smaller lots, and that's not what we're really trying to encourage through these amendments. So it's been in this latest proposal of amendments, it's been limited to only 2 side-by-side units allowed and adjoined. And that's simply about it. It was also referenced that similar, that we would limit it to only 2 units for single-family attached units within the side yard setback section. But that was the extent of the changes this past week. Did anybody have any carryover questions from the last several months, or things they want to bring back up for discussion? We'd be glad to answer that, but I think we're going to not run through everything, a third time.
Mara and Danny, there were no additional submittals from folks, right? I think we got something from this one association. I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head. The builders.
Builders,
Home builders.
That was it. So that was that one batch, right? Nothing additional.
nothing additional.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, under the definitions, the dwelling 2-family, edited, the separate dwelling units adjoined by a party wall or fire-rated floor assembly on a single lot.
Correct.
Shouldn't the party wall be fire-rated also?
So in the definition of party wall, and we were just kind of looking to make sure it was, fully consistent with our building code, that a party wall is technically just a vertical barrier in our building code. And so we wanted to make sure it would allow side-by-side units and a first floor, second floor type 2-family structure. So we just wanted to be fully clear and say you could have a fire-rated party wall or a fire-rated floor assembly.
So I'm getting specific about the adjective fire-rated. Asking about the party wall need not be fire-rated?
The party wall would have to be fire-rated. In our fire code, it defines the the fire rating definitions that would be required. It's just that we wanted in our building code, then it is specific that a wall is a vertical barrier. And so we just wanted to be, completely clear to everyone that you could have a wall or a floor separating the 2 units.
Right. I just seemed odd to me that we bothered to put the adjective fire-rated on the floor, but not on the wall.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just in the fire code, it's already defines the fire rating.
So the party wall has to be fire rated according to other ordinances in the city?
Right, correct. And if it had just been floor assembly, in that definition, it wouldn't necessarily mean it was fire rated.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody else? Any members of the public? Mara, anybody?
No one with their hand raised.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing on 20 PC 006?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for PC 20 PC 06.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing on 20 PC 06 zoning code text amendments. 2-family residential. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed to closing the public hearing? All right, let's go on to the next item. That's 20 PC 07, zoning code text amendments, residential dimensional requirements. Proposed amendments include changes to sections 53.043, 53.053, 53.063, and 53.073 to clarify lot coverage and height regulations in the A1 through A4 residential districts and amended definitions related to the dimensional regulations in section 53.020. Who's going to present on this one?
It's gonna be me. And what I wanted to do is very similar to Danny. I think we have really discussed this a lot over the last few months. So we're at the point where I just want to clarify a couple key things that we did look at, and we'd kind of left last month open with if there were any other questions, and we really didn't receive anything else. We did in your packets respond to the concerns from the Home Builders Association. I think we are already addressing some of the concerns that they had. One of the concerns that they had goes against some of the reasons why we were putting the code in place. But the other ones were already being addressed in what we were doing in the code. So just as a reminder, we had the lot coverage with the floor area ratio that we had been working on. We had changed to have or attached dwelling here in the floor area ratio for single family detached or attached. So then that way all of the floor area ratios match within this section for both using with the definitions that we had been amending. Just as a reminder, there is still an option for someone who does not want to completely follow what our floor area ratio is. They do have the opportunity to go before the Architectural Review Board and ask for an increase by providing some key information related to structures within 100 feet of the proposed site. And that has been in the code for a while and will continue to remain in the code. We did update that preservation of existing grade. Danny worked for a while on some of the language a little bit more, so I'm going to just read number 2. We tried to really clarify number 2, which is the item of when the allowed finished floor elevation of a new residential structure exceeds the finished floor of an adjacent residential structure by more than 3 feet. The side yard setback of the new structure shall be increased by 1 foot for every 6 inches of the new structure's finished floor sits above the adjacent lower structure. This increased side yard setback shall only apply on the side adjacent to the lower structure, which I'll show you a drawing in a second to explain what that means. But one other point in your packets is all the red text that you see, but it was discussed that I think one more little bit of insertion into the text would even provide more clarity, which is ensuring that it's understood that this is only applying when you do a new residential structure. This doesn't apply to an existing structure or additions to an existing structure. So just we're making the clarification. This is the section that's already in the code. And this section up number 3 is already in the code. What we were doing was adding in a number 2 to clarify on very unusual lots where one was very much higher than the other, which we were starting to see more of them on sloped lots. And so if you do move forward this evening, we would ask that you request an amendment to what we had in the red line to add this additional language to preservation of grade in all 4 zoning sections. So as a reminder, so if you have a house down here on the lower level of the street, you have a house up here on the higher level of the street, and there's a potential new house going in the middle. And when you take the average of the ones on either side, and that average leads to the house being more than 3 feet above. So now their front door is sitting, sort of halfway through the house next door on the lower level, that instead of being at your standard setback here, you would need to move the house over a little bit farther away from the low side in order to provide a little bit more separation for the house that is taller and is over the lower elevation. So that's the intent, and hopefully that kind of describes what we were doing. The only other code changes there was a discussion about changing the half-story definition back to a 50% of the gross floor area of the floor below from the 75%. Just as a reminder, there is already in the accessory structure section a 50% for the half-story for accessory structures. We're recommending that we keep it at 50% for the upper story of homes, and primarily due to the fact that when you start getting, again, sloped lots or taller lots or existing almost 3-story homes, the more you have in that addition, the larger it becomes, and you start getting what is really essentially a 3-story. Whereas if they do have to keep it at more of a 50% up above, you will have a little bit less of a massing on the upper level of the house. So those were essentially the changes that we've been talking about. We made a couple other little minor elements just because we already had the code section open. We were trying to talk about how side yard setbacks should not be reduced to less than 5 feet, even if they are a narrow lot and are already sitting too close to the property line. In this, it's trying to keep with the fire codes that at least gives a separation, a fire separation between homes on adjacent lots on some of the smaller lots. And then we also added in a little bit more about window wells and their setback of 3 feet from the property line. We already had terraces, uncovered porches, platforms. We had been applying it to window wells, but it wasn't very specifically identified in there. So that's the summary. And we just wanted to be available for questions or concerns. Just as a reminder, we do still plan to address coverage on lots related to stormwater and impervious surfaces. We're going to open up a new hearing on that one with some of the additional information that a couple of the members had provided to us from other communities and some other regional data. And we do plan to open up that up as another hearing. So we have not forgotten about this. We do feel that's an important element. And when we do get to that, I know we've received some comments that we've held aside. Our Sustainability Commission has provided a letter for the Plan Commission in regards to that. And we think that's extremely important for us to be able to address and also get their feedback. And we've also forwarded all of these to the Architecture Review Board also for some of their feedback. So just throwing that out there and available for questions.
Questions, anybody? Anybody from the public, Laura?
No hands raised.
Okay, any questions? Is there a motion to close the public hearing on 20 PC 07?
Motion to close.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing on 20 PC 07 zoning code text amendments, residential dimensional requirements. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that takes care of the public hearings. Is there a motion to close public hearing session and move into executive session?
Make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move into executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, the first item in executive session is 20 PC 06 zoning code text amendments to family residential. Proposed amendments include clarifications to the use and dimensional requirements regarding single-family attached dwellings and two-family dwellings in the A4 7,500 square foot residence district in sections 53.070 and 53.100 and amendments definitions related to those uses in section 53.020. Before we vote on this, is there any discussion about it that anyone would like to make any comments, suggestions, amendments, whatever?
I was just curious, Mara, as far as the home builders, were you making any kind of official response by another letter or something to them? Or?
No, we don't normally do, when they provided the comments to the plan commission. So what we did is we put it in our report, and our report is available to the public. So that covers our bases when it comes to, we've provided it. They've been, I know, reviewing our plan commission packets and our information. So I did it in that way. We don't normally, when different groups comment at the public, we don't normally send everyone a letter back.
Mara, did the ARB respond to any of the, either of those two text amendments? Or
They,
how
I
did
think,
they respond?
gave us more of a generic of, yes, they were glad that we were addressing some of the larger massing. But other than that, nothing much. But I did let them know that we were still, working with these topics. So what I was going to do is, now that if we do vote on both of them this evening, giving them the red lines again, very specifically, and make sure that there are no other concerns. But I did send them the packets, the PowerPoints. I'm sure they have a lot of other stuff they're also looking
So
at.
it's
too.
okay to do that after the vote tonight?
Yes, because we have another hearing before the city council.
Got it.
Yeah. But again, they have not had anything per se
Right, so far.
so
Yeah.
far, but I will give them one more bite at it of, hey, we're getting serious. It's already at city council. We voted on it.
We're about to finally do this.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that they, they've had ample time and,
I sent two separate
Absolutely.
ones with, hey, here's the packet. If you have any comments, I sent it again. Here's the packet again, in case anyone has any comments.
okay, thank you.
I also sent it to historic preservation, and I sent it to sustainability.
Mara, I think on the floor area, what are we going down to? What is the new total square footage they can build on a new house?
So there is no guaranteed number. Everything is based on that 0.32. So what we've done is everything under 10,000 square feet goes with the 0.32 floor area ratio. So it just is based on the lot size.
Okay, so 7,500 square foot lot gets what?
Hold on,
0.32.
2,400 square feet,
And what can they have now?
2,600.
Okay.
And just so you know, the 2,400 was actually the recommendation of Plan Commission and staff in 2016. And then it did get bumped up. And now that we've had a couple years with all the houses that we've got going on, I think it's pushing us back down. Now, the thing that we did do a step above that is not keeping a guaranteed even of 2,400. If we have a smaller lot size that is substandard, it's going to reduce. So if someone has a 6,000 square foot lot, they'll be allowed to build 1,920. Now, if they detach the garage in the back of the lot, they can use all of that square footage. And then I always remind people, a finished basement does not count in that square footage. Open porches don't count in that square footage. A covered patio without screens doesn't count in that square footage. So there's a lot of elements to it that still, we're gonna have to continue to talk about impervious surfaces still, but it will reduce the overall house size if you have a much smaller lot.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve 20 PC 06 and forward it on to the city council?
Was the language, you made some comment, Mayor, about make sure we Jeff,
in
the
the next
motion
one.
to include something, was that the
That's
next
in the
one? or
next
this-
Yeah, that's in the next one.
That's the next one. Okay, well, I'll move to approve this. I think we've been through it.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve 20 PC 06 zoning code text amendments, two-family residential. Proposed amendments include clarifications to the use and dimensional regulations regarding single-family attached dwellings and two-family dwellings in the A4 7,500 square foot residential district in sections 53.070 and 53.100 and amended definitions related to these uses in section 53.020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? I'm going to ask each one of you to announce your vote. Michael, how did you vote?
Aye.
Maddie? Maddie?
Aye. Sorry.
Steve?
Aye.
Tony?
Yes.
Christopher?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Annie?
Yes, aye.
The chair voted aye. So that has been approved and it's going on to the city council. Move on to the next item on the executive session, which is 20 PC 07 zoning code text amendments. Residential dimensional requirements. Proposed amendments include changes to sections 53.043, 53.053, 53.063, and 53.073 to clarify lot coverage and height regulations in the A1 through A4 residential districts and amended definitions related to the dimensional regulations in section 53.020. Discussion.
I just, if you could, and actually while I'm thinking about it, you can see there, I wear that cochlear implant. Could you guys look, I understand it's on the host, can set on the Zoom, the closed captioning. When you do the settings in Zoom, is the way I understand. We got teams at work. It's a struggle for me, especially this late after work.
I will have to get some training on where it is. Danny, do you see it?
I think if you, I obviously don't expect to bend over backwards. I think if you just, we don't need to get into it right now, but maybe if you could just, Danny, take a minute to Zoom it if you get stuck. I know some people have done it for other things I volunteer for, and I could email them for the directions. So you can maybe just, when you get a chance before the next meeting, Google it.
Sure.
And if you get stuck, I do plenty of volunteer things and people take care of me, y'all. Everybody's nice like here.
Yeah,
So
let's
I
figure
can
out
ask
where it
them.
is. I will make sure we figure out where it is and try to get it onto here. I'm sure.
I don't think it's real complicated.
No, I'm sure it's not complicated. It'll just be that I'll ask
just
our IT
finding it.
guy. He knows everything.
Right. I'd appreciate it. So I just want to make sure along those lines, I know you said it once, so I apologize, repeat yourself. The stormwater, we're going to come back and it might change this 07, PC 07, or is that going to be a different?
No, so what we were gonna do is in this one, we had originally did the advertisement for all the residential sections. So we just happened to start thinking, well, since we have it open, let's try to address it. But because we wanted to take more time to research it, we will just re-advertise those sections again. So it's not gonna change anything that we've done already. It will be a next step above and beyond what we've already done. So it's another element that will not hurt what we've already done. It will just look at what the overall coverage on the lot can be that would still work with the floor area ratios we've just approved.
But as far as taking something to council, I guess.
We're gonna have a hearing. We'll have a new hearing back with you all, and then we'll take it to council after we have a new hearing.
And Marv, is that going to be amending section 5.3 again? Is that what section we're going to be looking at?
It's in the same, we'll probably end up advertising much more specifically, but it's in all 4 of the residential zoning codes. So 4353 it'll do all of those again, but one specific section, which is the one that has currently it just has the 40% coverage. And we want to address the possibility of changing it so it's not a guaranteed 40% coverage possibly.
So I think that kind of gets at what I was getting at. Then it does make sense to treat it separate because you may impact sections we're not talking about.
Correct.
now. So
Yeah,
when you
we
go
wanna
to
look at that.
council, you can talk about what you just done and then go to council and talk about stormwater and they're not saying, why didn't you do this the first time?
Yeah. Yeah, that way we'll break it up. It'll also be more manageable for people to understand what we're doing. And both Michael and Christopher, which you guys are going to laugh because it's Christopher Michael and Michael. Michael and Christopher are both have both provided us with some additional really great information that we want to use as our research for that next code amendment that we'll look at.
Well, Mara, I just want to commend you and Danny on this one because it's not easy to explain these two things to people. And I thought you guys did a good job. So I've seen it done incredibly poorly. And sometimes it's hard to even follow. So I thought you guys did a good job on this. So
Thank you.
thanks to you both.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve 20 PC 07 with an amendment to add the language. I think it's new residential structures. Is that the language?
Yes.
To, I think it was 5.3.
Well,
what
it's
was
going to
it,
be all
4.3?
4 of the sections, and it's K2.
K2.
Sorry, K1. K1, preservation
Mm-hmm.
of existing grade, K1.
All right, so it's, is there a motion to approve 20 PC 07 with the additional insertion of new residential structures in K1 of each section?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve 20 PC 07, forwarded on to the city council, zoning code text amendments, residential dimensional requirements. Proposed amendments include changes to sections 5.3.043, 5.3.053, 5.3.063, and 5.3.073 to clarify lot coverage and height regulations in the A1 through A4 residential districts and amended definitions related to the dimensional regulations in section 53.020 with an amendment in K1 of each of those sections. It would be 4.3, 5.3, 6.3, and 7.3, inserting the words new residential structures. Is all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone that was opposed? And Michael, how did you vote?
Aye.
And Maddie?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Christopher?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Annie?
Aye.
And the chair voted aye. Okay, that brings us to other business, I think.
So in addition to the code amendment that we're going to bring to you for stormwater, we have another code amendment we're going to bring to you next month. So in the same vein of taking a bite at some of our low-hanging fruit of things that we can address, we're going to be bringing to you a code amendment for multifamily. Right now, multifamily in the D commercial district, which is pretty much Old Webster, is a conditional use permit. And in C, it's not even allowed use or a conditional use. And our comprehensive plan suggests that if we are going to do mixed use, or if we're going to do more dense residential like multifamily, it should be closer to our commercial or our more walkable areas. So we are recommending making some changes. Right now, the D already has some setbacks. If you happen to have multifamily over top of retail, or if you have multifamily in that district, it already has some setbacks associated with it. We're going to try to tackle the possibility of having it as a permitted use in C and D. and putting a set of regulations. So if they can meet all those regulations for parking and height and setbacks, it could be in a permitted use, which would give a little bit more flexibility for both mixed use buildings, as well as for the possibility of some multifamily close into our commercial districts. And we will bring the hearing at the next meeting, because again, we think it's something where it's, again, low hanging fruit. It already, it appears in one of our districts and already has some setbacks and some regulations. And so we're gonna take a whack at that one. And then we're also gonna address stormwater. And then just to give you a heads up, coming down the pike will be, we need to address the tree and landscape ordinance. So that one's gonna be a really big one to tackle. So we're gonna look at our schedules and look at what we're gonna need to do. And it might end up being more of a, here's a whole rewrite of the entire section, and then talk you through what has changed versus showing you all these red lines, because I think it's gonna be way too complicated if we try to show you all the red lines. So those
Mara,
are the latest.
what's kind of, obviously it sounds like there's a lot of changes, but why now, I guess, is my question.
So and this has actually been something I've been trying to get before you all probably for the last 3-4 years. As we started getting a lot more construction, there were inconsistencies in how it was written. So it's similar to the text amendments that you've been dealing with now, where we've had 2 or 3 years with a bunch of new homes coming in, where we've started to realize where there might be potential problems. Same thing happened with the tree and landscape ordinance, probably going on 5 or 6 years ago. As we started getting more and more new houses, there are things that don't line up, like basically a developer who wants to build a new house pays the same amount if he clear cuts every single tree on the property as he does if he only takes out like 2 large size trees. So some of them go the easy way out and just clear it all because all they have to do is pay $800. We also have a couple code sections that require a lot of landscaping for new construction of commercial structures. That's probably above and beyond what we really need. It seems like a good idea, I think, when they made that code amendment and fixed it, which was before I came here. So we found a lot of little tweaks here and there. In addition, here's the crazy part. It was when it was originally written, or was written the last time it was written, it was put in the public ways and places section of the code, which is where Public Works has their sidewalks and street trees, instead of being put with the zoning. So there's a lot of confusion. We get, people coming in and they're like, well, I didn't see any tree requirements because it's in an odd place in the code. So we're going to break them apart from one another, keep all the things related to street trees and public right-of-way landscaping in the same section it's in. We're going to bring to you the things that need to go for private development. And then once you've approved whatever amendments and have it ready to go to council, the section that stays with Public Works doesn't have to have a hearing before you. So we're going to bring those amendments plus the amendments that go before you both to council at the same time.
Are you gonna plan
Sounds
on?
good.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry for interrupting anybody. I'm not sure again if I followed you exactly, but might I suggest that tree and landscape ordinance ought to be considered holistically with your stormwater ordinance? Urban trees have great stormwater benefits, so I would think we'll do those two kind of together.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we want to look at impervious surface, but then we also want to look at tree and landscape. And I think that we should be able to do them pretty much simultaneously. What we will want to do though is we don't want them on as hearings on the exact same nights. It'll be similar problems to what we were dealing with these two on at the same time. They were together and yet they weren't. So we will definitely want to think of them holistically. And they will be important to look at that way, but I know they're both going to be pretty big ones to tackle. And I don't think we're going to want those hearings on the same nights.
Will you also have the opportunity to come up with landscape guidelines to go along with the ordinance changes?
Not sure. So
A
there
set
are
of- I'm sorry, go ahead.
there are some in there now, but I'm not sure what kind of guidelines you're looking for.
Well, any changes to go along with the ordinance changes, if there are any, if we do make any changes that are different from the guidelines that you have now, are those all going to be done at the same time?
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely, we're gonna take the entire tree and landscape chapter.
Mhm.
And we're completely, we've gotten feedback from the Green Space Committee, the Parks Department, the Parks Director, and the Public Works Director. I've got all that, and it's all been compiled into one. Now I just need to take that one, but because all that feedback came in, it looks like someone bled all over it. So it is just completely filled with red lines. So yes, we will be telling you what all the we're going to do here's what we think we need to rewrite the whole thing. This is how we're going to rewrite it. But we will go through and explain to you what's different and why we changed it, but not in the same way we've done it before with you, where we say, here's what it was, and here's the red line of what we're taking out and adding in. I think that will make it too difficult for you to understand.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mara, in conjunction with that, do you have any indication when that redevelopment plan is going to come before us because I say that only because, that's going to be a serious time commitment, right? So I just want to try to prepare for that.
I don't know right now. I do know that the city council is waiting on some review from Development Strategies.
Mhm.
We had been waiting on some information and data from St. Louis County that we finally got. So I know it's not going to be, we are going to need to have at least 2 months time to review. Normally we have 1 month's time to review before it goes. I think because of how large it is, we're going to need 2 months time to review. So always think that once it comes into me, we will know 2 months ahead when it's going to go. So we will have the flexibility to pull off some code amendments or put them into hiatus should the redevelopment come in and we need to spend more time in our meetings at that.
That helps.
So I'm gonna draft out a schedule of when I think the code amendments will work. And then depending on what happens and when it comes into us, we'll be able to kind of pull that in and can do a quick hiatus on the text amendments as needed.
Okay, that helps. And one other one for Lola's Little Eats, is there anything in there in that district? And I don't know, maybe I read this a couple years ago. Maybe it's not Webster, but for a drive-through, is there a restriction on a particular chain, or does it really not matter? Is it really just the drive-through? Is that Webster or is that somewhere else? Maybe that's somewhere else.
So we have in our codes that when you need to do a drive-through, it's a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So, and it's any kind of drive-through. It's bank drive-throughs, restaurant drive-throughs, all of the above. And then because it's a drive-through off of Big Bend, it has to go through St. Louis County Department of Highways and Traffic Review. So we've already gotten some comments from them. And so the applicant's kind of weighing around some of their comments from county and trying to determine if this is the area where they want to continue to pursue the drive-through or look at options about whether this is the right site for them.
And if it was approved CUP for a drive-through there, would the next owner have to come through and get it, or you're fixed into a drive-through there?
Yeah, the way our code is written, it's personal to the owner and not to the property.
Yeah.
So yes, someone else would have to get, and what we did do though, which I think was right before you came on or maybe right after, we did make a code change so that we have simplified the process. It used to be that you actually had to take changes of ownership, even if they were going to follow all the regulations that came with the original CUP. Changes of ownership used to have to go to plan commission, and then city council before they could get approved. We've simplified that process, so it doesn't take as long.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Hey, Mara, what, the site right next to the Y, they took down a building. Is there something else that's gonna go up there?
The church doesn't have anything right now that they're putting up there. They just were, they had a lot of issues with the existing building and the school had moved out. And so they decided it was in their best interest to take that structure down now. And then I think they're going to just think about what they might do in the future.
Thank you.
Anybody gonna ask about the bagels?
Everybody's still coming. So bagels are I think are doing their construction. Union Bagel at Elm and Big Bend. We have Amy's Cake Pop and Boozy Bites, who are going in on Big Bend, kind of halfway between the Subaru dealership and Novel Neighbor on the north side of the street. It used to be Visiting Angels, I think.
You say cake pops and boozy bites?
Cake Pops and Boozy Bites.
I'm just making sure I heard that right.
Yes, Amy's Cake Pops and Boozy Bites. So we've got them. We've got Didi Mao Vietnamese going in where Forenza Pizza used to be. Yes, it's getting exciting. We have a Wingstop going in at Yorkshire Plaza. I'm hearing maybe about another something going into Yorkshire, but I don't know yet, so I'll let you know once I know. We have a new Total Access Urgent Care going in at Laclede Station and Big Bend. And then Le Macaron is still trying to finish up their stuff, but they did have some inspections and they're moving forward. So we're busy. We got a lot.
That's exciting.
Oh, the fire station, the new city fire station under construction. The demo of the 2 houses has started, and then they should be pulling their land disturbance permit and starting some of that quite soon.
Awesome.
Feel like I'm missing something else big, but I think that's it right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn to the next regular meeting of April
Thank you.
2021. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you so much, Mara and Danny, for your hard
Mara and
work.
Danny.
Danny
Yeah, thank you guys.
and Neil. Bye.
Thanks.
Happy
Right.
birthday, Maddie, tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Denise, I'm going to move you over so we can do that test run.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that because I was about to close the meeting.
Don't close the meeting. Hey, Denise.
Yes.
Okay, so I see you. I've moved you over. Now I'm going to try to move you back. Yeah, it works. I just have to remove permission to talk. So Charlie, one of the other planning directors was like all freaking out because she was having problems. So I just need to do allow to talk. That moves Denise over. Denise can talk if she wants to. And then I can move her back to remove permission to talk, and it takes her off.
So we don't make her a panelist. It's just.
No, I think that's the problem that they
Yeah.
were doing.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Well, I'm leaving.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
can go.
Charlie.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right. Can I end it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.